Hey everyone, Sheppy here and welcome back to another video here showcasing another potential Manchester United manager. Now I'll start this video by apologising if I do sound a bit weird. I've got a bit of a cold going on at the moment, but I will continue recording as much as I possibly can. Right, this video is about Gareth Southgate. Now, I'm going to admit with you, I am so desperate for this not to happen because I think this guy is nowhere near ready to take over Man United. Now, I'll be clear on my opinion of Gareth Southgate straight off the bat, and this might be a very unpopular. It always has been when I've always said this position, but I don't think he's that good. I really don't. People got about how great he was in the World Cup. You put it down on paper, in the World Cup, we defeated Tunisia with a last-minute goal. We defeated Panama by 6-1, which, well, we should be beating Panama quite convincingly. And we beat Sweden 2-0. We drew with Colombia and had to win on penalties, which was exciting nonetheless, but we only drew with Colombia, whose best player was off injured, James Rodriguez. We lost to Belgium twice, and we lost to Croatia. So how is it a success that we beat Tunisia, Panama and Sweden? How is that a success? That's what we should be doing. It would have been a success if we'd beaten clubs like, or nations like Belgium and Croatia. So I don't think... They're wrong. I'm not saying he's a bad manager. I'm just saying that what happened at the World Cup was very much, for me, overhyped. And he's got more to prove. He can't just walk into a job now as one of the best managers in the world. Because all this hype that he got from the media and the English public after the World Cup was, for me, not deserved. He's got a lot of proving left to do. And I do not want that proving to be done at my club, Manchester United. Right. Anyway, stat-wise, as you can see, he's nowhere near the quality of some of the other players, some of the other managers we've had so far in this playlist. Got a lot of work to do. Coaching ability is pretty good. Obviously very, very good with working with youngsters and great defending coaching as well, being a defender himself. Man management and the motivation is not bad, but not quite as high as some of the other managers we've seen. But, of course, still being quite young, he's going to grow into that. The most worrying thing for me is the judging players' ability only being of 8, which would mean on this game especially that his choices of players to use or even buy or even sell might not be as good as it possibly should be. But anyway, let's get to the end of season number 1 and see just how Gareth Southgate gets on in his first attempt as Man United manager. Right, to the end of season 1, it looks like Man United came 3rd in the league, 3 points behind Liverpool in 2nd, but more worryingly, they came, is that 14 points away from Man City, who won the league. They're still in a Champions League spot, which is pretty good, but like I say, it's worrying to be that far away from the leaders, although that is currently what is happening in real life. Obviously, we want to start getting closer, not further away. Let's have a look transfer-wise then. That's the complete wrong button, I pressed that for. Transfer history and back a season, there we go. Wow, I just saw something there. I just saw something there. That's what we'll look at in a few minutes' time. Right. So, first of all, they signed Allen from Napoli. Pretty good deal. Solid defensive midfielder. 33 games, 2 goals. I'm actually quite impressed by that transfer, actually. Pretty solid. And then in January for £65 million, bringing in Christian Pulisic. Of course, that won't happen because he's moving to Chelsea in real life now. But still, that's a pretty good deal there by Man United. Players out. They sold Lee Grant, they sold Damian, they sold Andreas Pereira. So 3 players out. Okay. So we look at the schedule. I've just simmed a little bit too far, haven't I, to do it properly. Right, we're going to go to the bottom first. Holy crap. Holy crap. Okay. I don't want to eat my words, but Gareth Southgate won the Champions League in his first season. Yeah, that happened. Beating Atletico Madrid in the final, beating Barcelona in the semis, Valencia in the quarters, Juventus along the way as well. That's crazy. Knocked out the FA Cup 3-1 at home by Watford. It's not fantastic, obviously. EFL Cup eliminated 3-2 by Southampton, but still, that he won the Champions League. Holy crap! Okay. I still don't think he's good enough, but don't get me wrong, that is fantastic. That is really, really good. Right, so let's get to the end of season number 2 and see if he can continue on this vein of form. Alright, end of season 2, and we drop to 6th position in the league, the bottom of the top 6. Although In fairness, it was equal with Chelsea in 4th. That's weird, not seeing that forever, really. Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United all finished on 76 points, but the goal difference firmly with Chelsea and Arsenal. Actually, the goal difference was actually the same for Chelsea and Arsenal. Only difference was the for and against polls. Obviously, Chelsea get an extra 10 goals and concede an extra 10 goals. So 6th place is not great at all, is it? It's the only Europa League, so no Champions League for Man United next season. Let's have a look at transfer-wise then. Transfer history. Boom. I thought I saw that. I did, didn't I? Wow. Eden Hazard, £64 million from Chelsea to Manchester United. 14 goals in 38 games. That is insane. Okay. From Monaco, Jean Udez Alulu. No idea what that is. Centre defensive midfielder, didn't play a single game. They brought him in the summer for 13 million and he didn't play a single game. That is worrying. That's what I said. That could be the judging players' ability there really not coming to fruition. Mario Fernandes, obviously Russian. He's not Russian. He's actually, I think he's a Brazilian, isn't he? But obviously played in Russia for so long, he took Russian nationality to play for the national side. Emerson from Chelsea, 24 games. It's okay signing. Blaise Matuidi, good signing, good solid player, but obviously of an age now. Played 32 games last season. And finally, Kelvin Umbabu. Same player that Allegri bought a few days ago as well. Okay. So interesting transfers there, definitely. Fellaini went and Fred went as well. But yeah, Eden Hazard was a big signing, that was. Let's see what happened in the season then. So they lost in the Champions League semi-final to Atletico Madrid. 4-1 on aggregate, which wasn't very good, was it really? FA Cup third round lost to West Ham. They lost. Oh my god, how do you lose the World Club Championships? How do you lose that? That is really bad. Really bad, I must say. De Gea, it was a strong team as well. Really strong team. That is really poor to lose that. Really poor. So this has been an awful season. I mean, he won the Super Cup against Roma. He lost in the first match in the EFL Cup. Lost in the first match of the FA Cup. Finished 6th in the league. And got to the semi-finals of the Champions League. I'm going to ask you this now seriously. How on earth did Southgate keep his job? Because for me, that was an awful season. I mean, Champions League semi-finals all good, but that should not have. I mean, we beat Real Madrid and Bayern Munich on the way to the semi-finals, but still, finishing 6th in the league, getting knocked out of the FA Cup and the EFL Cup at the first match, and then not winning the World Club Championships, for me, is just not acceptable. Not acceptable. But let's see at the end of next season if he was able to bounce back. Here we go, the end of season 3, and they've climbed one position from 6th to 5th. It's not good enough still, I'm afraid. 5th position's not good enough for me. But he still retains his job. He must have had a bloody good season in the Cups. Right, let's have a look then at the transfer history. I've got a bit too far again. Right, first of all, Goncalo Guedes. Good signing, this one. 13 goals in 35 games for the young Portuguese player. That's quite impressive, actually. Manuel Locatelli. 13 games, 1 goal for him. Defensive midfielder. He was brought in the summer, so 13 games is very impressive, is it? Murillo, the centre-back. 12 games. Again, he was brought in the summer, so that wasn't great either. And Rob Holding. £34.5 million for Rob Holding. He's not worth that. He's worth 44 million. That's crazy. This is a perfect example when I said that English youngsters are just worth far too much money. Really are. Because, I mean, players of a foreign nation of this quality are not going to be worth 44 million. Wow. Right, so let's see how they got on schedule-wise. I think I've just seen some anyway, but let's have a look. Let's scan down to the bottom. Wow, okay. Lost in the Europa League final to Valencia. And they beat Monaco, they beat Torino, they beat Sporting. All teams they should be beaten, to be honest. Knocked out the FA Cup in the 4th round to Chelsea. Knocked out the EFL Cup in the 4th round to Leicester. Again, I don't think this is good enough. He's kept his job for the 2nd season in a row. He's got to the finals of the Europa League. Been knocked out the FA Cup and the EFL Cup very, very early on. And come 5th in the league. I don't understand how he keeps his job, because this, for me, is just not good enough, to be honest with you. I really don't think this is good enough for Man United. But the board have continued to keep hold of him. Let's see if he can bring it back at the end of season number 4. End of season number 4, and still the same old story, I'm afraid. Still 5th in the league. He just can't seem to get himself going well in the league. That's the main issue we have here, isn't it? So after 4 seasons, he had a good first season, but then 6th and 2 fifths in a row for me is just not good enough, to be honest. Really not good enough. Let's see what happened in the transfer market then. Transfer history. Boom. So they brought in Matthias de Ligt for £104 million from Spurs. Played 30 games, scored 2 goals. Definitely a fantastic centre-back. Jean Guidetti. I mean, really, Jean Guidetti? Didn't he used to play for a Premiership side? Yeah, he played for Stoke. And Man City, then Celtic. And some reason we paid so much money to bring him in to Man United. This is a bit of a shocking signing, really. Danilo Pereira, the Portuguese CDM, played 37 games last season. That's pretty impressive. Angus Gunn. Oh my god, what is going on with this life? Angus freaking Gunn. Okay. £16 million, hopefully just a backup. And Wilmar Barrios. Stats-wise, mental attributes are pretty impressive. Only played 9 games, but of course was only brought in January. Players outwards, Lingard went to Benfica for £12 million, which is shocking. Mata went to Benfica for 13, which probably his age is probably about right. And Matuidi went to Sociedad for 12. Again, his age is probably about right. Look at the schedule, of course. I don't think they had Champions League football again, did they? Nope. This time they did win the Europa League. Okay. Okay, I sort of feel slightly better now. Won the Europa League. Am I happy with the Europa League? Well, I'm happy, but I don't think it's enough, to be honest. Porto, Lyon, Leverkusen, Chelsea. They beat Chelsea then. Zenit. It's just not really a very impressive thing to win. It's good, but it's not the best. Right, EFA Cup. They got knocked out by Everton in the 5th round. EFL Cup. Where's the EFL Cup final? Oh, they're out. Are they out? I think they're out, yeah. Okay, so they lost to Liverpool on penalties. So they won the Europa League, and they come 5th in the league again. Is that enough? I ask you, is that enough again? I mean, win the Europa League is impressive, don't get me wrong, but I'd much rather be finishing top 4 and getting the Champions League every year than finishing 5th and 6th and winning the Europa League, to be honest with you. But let's give him another season. Let's see if he can finally break that top 4. He did manage to He did manage to crack the top 4, just about by finishing 4th place. 1 point behind Liverpool actually, and only 2 points behind Arsenal, but still quite considerably behind the leaders, 9 points. But managed to get ahead of Spurs and Chelsea this season, which does mean we will get in the Champions League for the season coming. Transfer-wise, what happened? I'm showing you this season again, aren't I? I keep doing that. I've gone forward too far every single time. Right, so this signed Frank Kessie from Milan. Pretty interesting. Ivorian centre midfielder. 33 games, 6 goals. Actually, pretty good signing. Alex Iwobi, another... Oh, I said the name.
Sorry, I'm not sure.
I said Iwobi, not you. Right, not very good in my opinion, to be honest. Not good enough to pay that much money for. 25 games, 6 goals, though. I might be wrong. Did pretty well, I suppose. And Maten de Roon, the Dutchman from Atlanta, played 8 games between January and the end of the season. £121 million in, which is never good. That means Guedes went for 86 million. Herrera went for 14. Sanchez went for 3.5. And Angus Gunn left for about £10 million less than the signing for last season. Into the schedule then, let's have a look and see what happened. Wow, what an end to the season. 3 losses in a row, terrible. Oh, they didn't get Champions League last season. How did they get Champions League? They didn't finish in the top 4. Okay, oh, because they won the Europa League, wasn't it? That's how you get in the Champions League, isn't it? Okay, so they get Champions League football. They were knocked out of the Champions League in the first knockout stage by Milan. Knocked out the FA Cup by Liverpool. And they... EFL Cup semi-final, they won on penalties? Yeah. Oh, they won the EFL Cup against West Ham, okay. So they won the EFL Cup and finished 4th in the league. Again, is that a good enough season? It's better than previous seasons, to be honest, but still he keeps his job. So let's continue forward. There he is, Gareth Southgate. Let's continue forward another season and see what gets on. Right, slight miscalculation. I seem to have simmed 4 seasons rather than 1. I do apologise. We're going to cover all 4 seasons at once. As you can see, Southgate is still in charge. Unless he's had an amazing 4 seasons, I can't see how, to be honest with you. Let's have a look at the league. Let's see how he's done. So we'll go back. So last season, he finished 7th. Season before that was 4th. Season before that was 7th. Season before that was 3rd. I mean, how has he still got this job? 2 7ths, a 4th, and a 3rd. That is not good enough. It really isn't good enough. But somehow, he keeps this job season after season. Right, let's have a look at transfer history then. Boom. So where were we last time? I think we did this one, did we? No, okay, we did this one last time. So, they signed Leon Bailey for 66 million, Timo Werner for 81 million, Dirk Brouwer for 18, and Sergi Dada for 36. Obviously, Timo Werner being the big signing. He's still there after 4 seasons. 29 goals in 89 games is not good, is it? Leon Bailey's still there as well. 46 goals in 145 games isn't too bad. Players out. It's not a huge amount, is there? I mean, Darun left after last season. Allen left. They have a habit of buying players and selling them the very, very next year, which is a bit worrying, isn't it? So into the next season, then they brought in Pietro Pellegrini. Now that's a big signing. 48 goals in 94 games. It's a very, very good signing. Obviously, they paid 89 million for him. Next, Mikel Merino. Looks pretty decent. Nothing amazing, to be honest with you, but a decent centre mid. Vajnaman, someone we brought on our FIFA career mode. He's doing okay. He's gone to Chelsea now. Anyway, they sold him on to Chelsea for 48.5 million after having 2 seasons of him. I don't understand why they sell these players. Dubravka, the goalkeeper. Okay, they must have brought him for just to cover for a season. Mafia, the former Man City player, isn't he? Yes, Man City. Had a bit of time at Barcelona before going PSG, then Man United. Then over to Monaco. He's been shipped around a lot. Man United paid 43 for him, sold him to Monaco for 33. So they are buying a lot of players and making losses on them, aren't they? Unai Nunez. Not heard of him before, to be honest with you, but he's played 38 games in a couple of seasons. And N'Golo Kante. Okay, must have been a bit of cover for a season, because as you can see, he's now retired. Sales-wise, they sold Martial for 21 million, Lukaku for 24, Lindelof for 17, Diego Dalot for 29. It's hell, isn't it? Next season, Thomas Lemar comes in. Good signing. 31 years old now, though. Alex Garcia. Don't know how to pronounce that. He only played 14 games, then went to Crystal Palace. So probably not the best of signings. Paid 50 million for him. Oh my god. 50 million for him and sold him to Palace the next season for 15. Oh my god, this is awful. And Foyth, of course, from the Spurs team at the moment. They brought him for 15. He's on loan at Sevilla at the moment. He's played 12 games. Sold Bailey for 12 million. Iwobi for 10. It depresses me, this. It really does. Next up, Jans Christoffersen is a fake player, Danish player, 37 games, 1 goal as a centre-back. Not looking too bad, actually. Looks like a decent player. Cameron Carter-Vickers played 1 game, the centre-back, and is now leaving on a free transfer. Brought him last season for... this is sickening, isn't it? £25 million they brought him for, and he played 1 game, and now he's gone on a free transfer. That's terrible. A player we've been linked with recently, actually, Steven Bergwijn. Not a bad shout. He's 29 years old. We brought him for 51. He's now worth 44. 30 games, 2 goals. It's not terrible. Ludvig Augustusson, Swedish player, left back, paid 25, is now worth 18. And Riddle Baku, German centre mid, 25 games, 3 goals. He looks actually pretty good. I'm happy with that one. Paid 23, is now worth 35. Players out. Nunes for 39. Garcia they brought last season for 15. Kante went to... That's not bad, he's retired now, 4.1 million. Maffeo went to Monaco for 33. Vajnaman to Chelsea. It just seems really, really odd, doesn't it? And then finally... Okay, we'll leave that because that's this season, isn't it? Yeah, it's not good, is it? In my opinion, not good at all. Right, let's go back. Is that 4 seasons? I think there's 4 seasons, yeah. Right, so the 23-24 season, I think, was the last one we saw. No, we saw, obviously this was the last season we saw, wasn't it? Where they, lost the last 3 games of the season. Right, so, in the 23-24 season, we saw them lose in the FA Cup semi-final to Spurs. Fantastic end to the season, all them wins. That's really good, actually. Didn't even get through the Champions League group stage. My God, Real Madrid, Sporting, Schalke, and lost in the EFL Cup to Chelsea. How does he keep this job? That's what I just can't understand. I mean, this season alone, he must have finished 7th. This must be one where he finished 3rd or 4th, but still, not getting through the Champions League group stages, losing in the EFL Cup 4th round, losing in the FA Cup as well. I just can't see how he keeps his job over and over again. 24-25 season, Champions League semi-finals lost to Liverpool in aggregates. EFL Cup final lost to Man City, and Southampton they lost in the FA Cup semi-final as well, or 5th round, sorry. So again, a pretty terrible season. Look at that end as well. 3-1 loss to Bournemouth away, 2-1 loss to Huddersfield, 2-1 to Man City, 3-1 to Liverpool. Yet he continues to keep his job. 25-26 season, they won the FA Cup against Everton. They lost in the semi-finals of the Europa League against Leverkusen. And they got knocked out of the EFL very early by the looks of it. Knocked out the EFL Cup by Ipswich Town on penalties in the 3rd round. Still, I mean, the FA Cup is one thing, but it's just not good enough, is it? Season after season is not good enough. The 26-27 season, back in the Champions League, lost 4-0 in the finals to Man City. So they got there, that's the main thing. Again, just look at the amount of losses here in the league as well, which really killed them off end of the season. FA Cup, they lost to Man City again. And EFL Cup, lost to Leicester. It's just pretty poor, isn't it, over and over again? Season after season, it's really, really poor. But there we go. Let us go forward another season and see just how long he survived. I don't know how he is surviving. Let's have a look at his stats. His stats must have got better by now. I mean, they got better, but still not great. I mean, his man management's now 20, which is fantastic. Judging players' ability is still only 9, which is probably why he's selling and buying some really iffy transfers. But, well, let's continue pushing forward the season and just see how Southgate gets on. Hopefully just a season this time. Right, so here we go then with season... I haven't got a clue what season it is anymore, but Southgate is still in charge. I think this is season 9 now, or season 10 this will be actually, yeah. Southgate is still in charge. He is insecure in his job though, which is interesting. Let's first have a look at the league table, where again, only 6th place. But still, something he keeps his job over and over again, which really confuses me. And they were clear from 7th by quite some distance, only 1 point away from 5th. But does that mean they got Champions League? Yeah, I don't know how that works, to be honest. Why did you qualify for Champions League? You must have won one of the domestic cups by the looks of it. Anyway, first of all, let's have a look at the transfer history for this season. Right, so they brought in Marcelo Jose from PSG. He's a fake player. Well, I say fake, but he's a regen player. Centre-back, looks pretty decent, to be honest. Heading of 17, marking 16, tackling 18 is very, very good. 25 years old, could actually be a very, very good signing for them. He's only worth 65 million now. They paid 97 for him. Played 34 games, hopefully. Well, he played 34 games in the league. Got an average rating of 7.18. That's actually pretty good. They also signed Ryan Nyambe from Spurs. Another, he's a right back actually this time. Played 33 games, got 1 goal. Again, a +7 rating, which is pretty good. Ivan Ilic, centre defensive midfielder. Looks like an okay player, nothing special. And Lassina Cisse, he's off. I thought he was going to be a real player then, but no, he's a fake player. Plays at the right hand side, got 16 games, 3 goals, which is interesting. Looks like a decent player, to be honest. Paid 46 million for him. They sold 207 million pounds for player. 50 million for Pulisic to PSG. 10 million for Foy, 13 for Augustin. 86 million for Leon Bailey to PSG as well. Wow. So those 2 deals alone were pretty massive. Bergwijn went to Sporting. So it seems to be every season they have a massive incoming and a massive outgoing. They don't seem to be able to keep a hold of good players. Either that or they're just not buying good enough players to start with. It's a weird one, right? Let's have a look at the schedule then. So of course it was Europa League this year, so let's go down to the bottom. They won the Europa League again, defeating Sporting Lisbon in the final, which is probably why he kept his job. Apart from that, FA Cup third round, they lost away 2-1 at Huddersfield, which is terrible. And EFL Cup, they lost 2-1 at home to Man City. This ended the season again, though. So Blackburn 1-1, Chelsea 1-1, Swansea 1-1, Spurs 3-1, Arsenal 1-1. That's what really hit them hard. If they'd won a couple more of those games, they probably would have finished a bit higher up the league. But still, I don't think 6th is good enough. I really don't. And I still am as surprised as anyone that Southgate keeps the job season after season with... Granted, he's won the Europa League a couple of times, but to be honest, a team of this quality, if they are in the Europa League, should win it, because the other teams are not at the same level as we are, so it should be quite an easy competition to win. But still, we'll see what happens. Let's give him another season number 11 this I think it will be, and see how he continues on. He's still going. End of season 11. Gareth Southgate is still part of the club, and it got one step worse. 7th in the league. They finished below Leicester and West Ham. How does he keep this job season after season? He's literally the worst manager we've seen so far in this playlist. Yet he's kept his job year after year. I just don't get it. Only 1 point in that top 7. Liverpool finished 8th. Wow. But that's just not good enough again. Really isn't good enough. 11 seasons, no Premiership titles, and barely even finished top 4. And I've just seen here Paul Pogba's on his way. Yeah, doesn't matter. He's leaving. He's old now, isn't he? I just realised. Right, transfer history this season. Again, another massive reap. But I'm saying they're free players. Juan Alvarez, Uruguayan striker. 8 games, no goals. He's worth 30 million. He got him on a free transfer, so can't really moan too much of that. Jakub Jankto, free transfer. And he's torn as well, so he's going to Leverkusen. So they're obviously making a big profit on him. 14 games, 1 goal. Andre Silva from Milan. Again, another striker, worth 25 million, but still another old player. It makes me wonder where they spend. I don't know. Lucas Hernandez, the left back. They are going for a lot of older players this season. 31 games he played. Bekanthi, 21-year-old Norwegian player. He looks pretty handy, actually. Another striker. Can play attacking midfield, centre and right as well. Paid 44 million for him. Another free transfer, Sean Watson. Obviously a youth player for the future. He's in the under-23s. And finally, Massimiliano Lava. Italian central midfielder. He looks pretty good, actually. I think has he just signed? Yeah, he's just signed, ready for next season, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. Players out-wise, 38 million's worth. We saw Timo Werner go out to Sporting, and Marcus Rashford goes out to West Ham. Again, it's just another really bad season for me. Let's have a look then. Champions League. Right, they got knocked out of the Champions League in the first knockout stage. They lost in the FA Cup 6th round to Walsall. And they lost in the EFL Cup final. So please tell me how Southgate's still in charge. He got knocked out. He's finished 7th in the league. Got knocked out in the first qualifying round of the Champions League. Or the first knockout stage around the Champions League. FA Cup 5th round got knocked out. Or 6th round, whatever it was. To Walsall. And then EFL Cup. It's just not good enough. It really isn't good enough. So, let's give him another season, see what happens. But surely he can't last another one. Let's have a look. Well, you look at that, the end of season number 12, and Man United finally get a top 4 finish up into 3rd Only 3 points away from Arsenal in second. That was a pretty good season, that was. I wonder why. Oh, because Gareth Southgate is still the... Hang on a minute. Gareth Southgate is still the manager. I really assumed with that massive turnaround in form that Southgate would be gone, but no, he still continues on. 12 seasons in. He's still continuing on. God knows bloody how. Right, they brought in, of course, Shaw Watson we saw, and Lava we saw at the end of last season. Also brought in Luca Parisi, an Italian CDM, and, oh, Kepa, the goalkeeper that Chelsea have got at the moment, 35-year-old for 19 million. 122 million pounds of players went out. Dirk Brouwer. So he won the regen players, yeah, a Dutch centre-back for 48 million. Illich, who they signed literally last season, went out. I really don't understand this real, like, movement of players. Like, they literally brought in Lucas Hernandez last season. They brought him in for 16 million. They sold him the next season for 9. Why do you keep bringing players and selling them season after season? There's no future planning here. It's really, really weird how this keeps working. Anyway, schedule-wise, let's see what happened. So, didn't win the Europa League. They lost 2-1 in the quarterfinals to Inter Milan. FA Cup, again, they lost in the 6th round to Manchester City. And EFL Cup, we were knocked out in the 4th round by Southampton. I don't know. 3rd place, I mean, it's a massive upgrade from the previous seasons, but still, is it good enough? I don't think it is good enough, to be honest with you. I really don't think it is good enough, but hey-ho, there you go. Southgate continues on for another year. Let's get to the end of that next year and see exactly what happens next. That's more like it's second in the league, getting closer and closer. But the question is... No, he's not. Yeah, Ventura is now the manager, which means that Southgate has left the club. I'm not going to say he's been sacked. Let's double check first. He's the manager of Tottenham Hotspur. Which is interesting. Let's have a look at his career milestones, I think it is. Manchester United, he left. He wasn't sacked. He left on his own accord to take the Spurs job. Okay. He was there for 12 years, the longest run we've had so far of any manager at the Man United during this playlist. 12 years. And you know what? Let's see what he actually achieved. We don't normally do this. Right, here we go. So in his 12 years, he won the Champions League, the UEFA Super Cup, the Europa League, the UEFA Super Cup, the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, the Europa League, and the Super Cup. So he won the Europa League twice and the Champions League once in 12 years. Won the Carabao Cup once and the FA Cup once. Now, people will say that's very good, but I think if you take away the Carabao Cup and take away the Europa League and take away the Super Cups, because they're the ones that no one's really... I mean, they're nice to win, but they're not priorities for any club. That leaves us with 1 FA Cup and 1 Champions League in 12 years. I mean, it's nice to win the other ones, but they're not a priority. The priority is the Premiership, FA Cup, and the Champions League. Those are what we want to win, and unfortunately, we just didn't get enough of that from Southgate. I do not feel like this 12 years was well spent. I really don't. If this is what future we have at Man United, I'm going to be very, very disappointed. I'm not happy with having Southgate as the manager, but... hey-ho, it's not my decision, so it'll be interesting to see what does happen moving forward. I mean, Solskjaer looks better and better each day at the moment, so I'm hoping he will get an opportunity if someone like Pochettino is not available. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Anyway, this is probably going to be quite a long video now because of the amount of seasons Southgate was in charge, but I hope you have enjoyed it. Of course, if you have, please do hit a like and of course subscribe if you want to see some more. And we'll be back in a couple of days' time with our next manager, who I believe is going to be Antonio Conte, a previous Chelsea manager. So I'll see you on the flip side. Bye.